The South Pacific nation of Vanuatu lies some 2,000 kilometres northeast of Brisbane. This picturesque archipelago was the inspiration for James A. Michener's acclaimed book, Tales from the South Pacific, which went on to inspire the famous Rodgers and Hammerstein Broadway musical. Vanuatu used to be the world's only condominium, that is, a territory governed by two different nations. It was in 1980 that Vanuatu gained independence from the United Kingdom and France. Today, the country is home to around 250,000 people, and there are over 100 different languages spoken. Most people live a subsistence lifestyle in rural communities. The capital, Port Vila, on the island of Efate, is one of only a few urban areas in Vanuatu. The population of the city is growing rapidly, and with full-time employment scarce, many young people here have little to occupy their time. The One Small Bag Youth Centre was founded in 1989 as a theatre group, and over the years it has embraced many other activities, including sport. With state-funded education ending when children reach the age of 12, Vanuatu has one of the lowest school attendance rates in the Pacific. One Small Bag provides people with the opportunity to further their education and learn new skills.
I think that One Small Bag is a good place for young people like me from the rural communities to go to. One Small Bag helps a lot with youth, especially those who don't have the chance to go to school. They can come and get involved in activities. They can learn the guitar, go to dance classes, and get involved in sports like futsal and hockey. It helps a lot to promote good values in young people through sport, music, and things like this.
In Vanuatu, soccer is the #1 sport. Games take place round the clock on the all-weather pitches that were installed in Port Vila 2 years ago. Field hockey is also hugely popular in this part of the world, and these pitches were actually installed for the Vanuatu Hockey Federation. With the population as spread out as Vanuatu's, getting around can be a struggle. The Hockey Federation uses a community bus to pick up the players from the surrounding villages and bring them to the training sessions, which are held twice a week. Australian Jenny Botel is one of the coaches of the national hockey team.
The amount for transport just to get in there is really hard, and it is not affordable to most kids. So as the Federation, it's kind of our responsibility almost to be bringing these kids in to train at our fields. We can go out and play in villages on grass or on gravel. It doesn't really have the same effect. You can't learn as much. It's not really as enjoyable. So, you know, we've got a beautiful field. We want to get kids there, but trying to get them onto the field, getting them down from a village, even just half an hour away, is a lot of money and a lot of effort.
Peter Robinson is the men's national team hockey coach. He came to Port Vila from Melbourne 2 years ago. Pete and Jenny organise all the national squads and run grassroots projects. Hockey is still relatively new to this country, so it's not played in the majority of schools. Because of this, many of the national squad didn't start playing until their mid to late teens.
The kids have missed out on all that junior programs that most people in other countries would take for granted. Like, you start playing at under 8s or under 10s, and then you develop those skills, you know, all the way through your juniors, where these kids have had to pick it up, you know, a lot later on, and they're having to develop those skills from a later state, so they don't get all that, they don't all learn all the basic stuff to begin with. But in saying that, they're amazing athletes. The boys and the girls, they've got huge amounts of speed, endurance, just general natural athleticism.
Just a short walk from the hockey centre is a village called Tagabe. It's home to Hero Namu, a member of the men's senior squad. The 20-year-old helps his brother Ernest maintain his minibus, one of the many that serve as the island's main form of public transport. Village life here is very communal, and despite most people not having heard of hockey 10 years ago, many of the villagers are now involved in the hockey program. Hiro himself got involved in the setup 5 years ago after following Ernest to training. Initially, he found that getting to grips with the new sport was a fairly intimidating experience.
I think
that when I first looked at hockey, I was a bit scared of it because it was physical. I was afraid of the ball and the stick. But when I played, I realised that hockey is the same as any other sport. It's about having fun and getting involved in the game. If you get involved in the game, you can become a good hockey player. And that's why I like hockey. It's the same as any other sport.
As well as developing the national team, the Vanuatu Hockey Federation are also helping to promote the sport throughout local villages. The Island Hockey Project is a grassroots program designed to help rural communities set up and run their own teams. Mangilililu on the northwest coast of Efate is one of a growing number of villages that has embraced the sport.
We've looked at communities that haven't been given access to other sporting opportunities. So if you maybe go around the east side of the island, there's volleyball and there's some other projects going on. We've headed up the west side and there's really not many other opportunities sporting-wise. Up in the villages, the families are really keen to support. It's a lot easier to get people on board. There'll be coaches that are happy to look after the kids and that kind of thing, which I think makes it a much more easier kind of setting to increase the standard and to get kids excited and involved.
The Vanuatu Hockey Federation helped us a lot last year, coming to the field here and teaching everyone the rules. They also gave us some sticks and some balls that we can play with. And after they'd given us the equipment and taught us the rules, we as teachers picked up the initiative and we've followed on the Federation's work since then.
Rosalind Nampas is a teacher at the local school in Mangilililu. She's taken on the responsibility of coaching and organising hockey in the village. Outside of Port Vila, Mangilililu is now the biggest hockey centre in the country. With the support of the National Federation and the Island Hockey Project, the sport has shown it can be successful and have a big impact, even in isolated villages. Some of the older players here are now progressing into the under-18 national squads, and many of the younger children now own their own sticks and play regularly at school.
They play every Wednesday, but also most days after their classes are finished. They've really taken to it, and it's a sport they really like. Now they don't play football or volleyball so much. Hockey has become their favourite.
Back at One Small Bag, and the national teams are starting to make their mark on the regional scene. A reserved attitude to female sport in Vanuatu means that the women's team are less developed than the men's, but just competing internationally is a huge achievement for the women. Last year, the men's team qualified for a world ranking and beat PNG and Fiji for the first time. Meanwhile, the women are already catching up with countries like the Solomon Islands, who've played hockey for nearly 50 years.
In the last couple of years, we've gone from a fairly low base, and now we're a genuine threat to the bigger Pacific nations, which I think everyone sort of felt sorry for us to begin with and sort of helped us out where they can. But I think a few people are a bit wary now. They don't extend the hand out so much because they know we're a genuine threat to a lot of the different nations.
As more people see the success of the national sides, the interest in hockey in Vanuatu continues to grow. Participation is on the increase, especially amongst younger children. And as with most aspects of life in Vanuatu, enthusiasm and fun are not lacking around the hockey teams. With ever-improving facilities and coaching, a sport which was barely recognised a few years ago looks set to have a promising future.
If you look around during our training sessions, the young kids, they don't want to stop. They don't listen when you say you have to pack up. They just want to keep playing. I think that hockey is a game that all the kids in the village here want to come and see, and they have a real interest in what we're doing. If we can get more facilities, then hockey in Vanuatu will become very strong. I look at the kids here, and I know that we'll have a strong team in the future.
Subscribe now to our YouTube channel for the very best of Trans World Sports.